Hello, and welcome to Unlimited Inner Peace podcast, where we delve into the secrets of finding inner peace and embracing it year round. I am your host, Julissa Ben Espinosa, and today we have with us Michelle Anderson. Michelle is a nursepreneur, speaker, educator, and consultant with over 30 years in the healthcare industry, including 20 years of experience as a registered nurse. She's known for her profound wisdom and upbeat spirit while giving sincere care to her patients. As the founder of a healthcare consulting company, she's dedicated to supporting caregivers and teaching them how to successfully take care of themselves and their loved ones. Her slogan is caring for those who care. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Sister Jelisa. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I am so honored that you accepted to be here with us to have this conversation with us. So, Michelle, tell us about you. Who is Michelle Anderson?
Oh, Michelle Anderson is a child of God,
All right.
the daughter of the late Beverly Anderson. And I've been told that I am a lot like my mom, so I take that to heart. That's the biggest compliment I could ask for.
Yes.
A nurse, a friend, um, and someone who always sees the positive side of the situation, no matter what it looks like to someone else. Um, I am extremely blessed. Uh, I love the color orange. I love to interact with people. My friends tease me and say, I know everyone. And I said, no, I don't, but I will speak to anyone. I will speak to everyone and anyone.
That's wonderful. That is wonderful. So, how was your upbringing? Did you grow up in a very positive environment? Like you said, you always tend to look at the positive.
I did. My mom spread positivity without you realizing it. So I didn't know negative because I always saw the brighter side. My mom always taught me to appreciate everything. And so I think by default, by my upbringing, by my blessings from God, in forms of the gift of positivity, because I realize we're not all created equal. And so
Correct.
some of us may, I'm that person that if you feed me and I've got a decent night's sleep, I wake up extremely happy. Maybe a little annoying to some people, but my happiness is my foundation and my truth. And I'm so glad, thank God, that I don't have to work towards it.
Yes.
Um, it it just is.
Yes. That is wonderful. That is so beautiful. So, do you have any siblings? How was the growing up at home?
Growing up at home, I am the only child of my mother's,
Okay.
but I am blessed with two fathers, so I have siblings on both sides of my paternal family, but I grew up as an only child.
How is it to grow up as an only child?
I recall wanting siblings,
Uh-huh.
but because I had such an enriched friendship with my neighbors and church members and friends, I never felt lonely, even though I was an only child.
That is good. That is so good. So you, even though you at home it was only you, your mom and dad, you had a village.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. And
Yeah,
my family is a small nucleus, but I didn't want for anything.
that is wonderful. That is wonderful. So fast forward to I'm thinking your teenage years, when you were thinking, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up? What led you to choose nursing?
I was blessed with the knowledge of wanting to be a nurse at the age of 5.
Wow,
Uh,
that early.
yes, and I honestly can't tell you what triggered it, but I knew that I like to help people and I
Yes,
wanted to help them get better. So
yes.
I saw the positive in that at an early
Uh-huh.
age, maybe not understand the full scope of what nursing was.
Yes.
I wanted to be a nurse at a very tender age. I had a momentary lapse and thought about being a doctor, but by the third grade, I knew I didn't want to be a doctor because I like sleep too much. So I went back to wanting to be a nurse.
But nurses work very hard and long hours too.
Yes, I didn't get that in the handbook when I was 5. Um, I'm blessed to have a career that doesn't feel like work. Let me rephrase that. It doesn't feel arduous and burdensome. It
Mhm.
is work. It's hard work, but it's my heart's desire. It's what I was created to do.
Yes.
I'm a helper.
Yes, that's good. So, in your bio, I read that you had or have 20 years of experience as a registered nurse. So for 20 years, you care for patients and you were there by their bedside, taking care of them, giving them their meds and all of those things that nurses do. So, after those 20 years, what led you to start your own business, your own consulting business?
It actually came by default. It wasn't on my radar.
Okay.
Um, I am someone who loves to speak. I love to communicate with people. Just hi, how's your day? I appreciate that interaction,
Mhm.
and I have friends who have consulted me on several occasions asking my opinion about this, that, or the other. And it became clear from friends and family that they thought I needed to share my knowledge and my wisdom and my life experience in the form of a business. And I didn't see it. I didn't see it at all because I thought everyone speaks, everyone cares. But they said, no, but when you do it, it's special. And that's what helped me to see that it was a gifting from God. And so it flourished organically, is what I should say.
All right, all right. So what exactly you do in your consulting company?
So it varies on the client's need. I help families who provide care for their loved ones at home. I help care providers who may be stuck in life choices, be it health
Mhm.
or relationships. It's more of a helping you where you are. So I might help you provide care for a loved one, but the next person might just need someone to hold their hand and help them get through the humps and challenges in life. And on top of that, it doesn't feel like work. It's a blessing to me just as much or more than it is for them, because when you're able to share of yourself and share what God has given you and bless someone in return, that's priceless.
It is priceless. It is priceless. And that takes me to your combined work experience and with your now consulting firm, your 30 plus years of experience doing this, first caring for patients at hospitals or clinics, and now helping either individuals or families or whoever needs your help. Can you tell us how that has transformed your life? What have you learned on that journey, taking care of those who are sick and helping those who may need clarity or may need just support or hand holding as they go through their experience?
It's the support. I find that oftentimes we're all so busy in life, that we're busy being busy,
Yes.
and we're not always aware of our peripheral surroundings. And
Mhm.
so that person that's sitting right next to you that you said hello to, is hurting so bad that it's exuding through their pores,
Mm.
but you've got blinders on because you're busy being busy, when just holding their hand or saying hello or sharing a bit of positivity is a form of support that we all take for granted. And so I'd like to say that I'm blessed that I see these things without trying. Um, I've been told that I'm very empathic. I feel even when I'm not trying. And so when I sense someone has a need, it might be just someone to spend a few minutes speaking with them and acknowledging them and uplifting them with a positive word or admiring their work or just acknowledge them as an individual and letting them know that they are loved. Um, that small interaction tends to lead to, for me, business opportunities. Not that I was seeking, but
Yes.
because that person senses this is something that I need in my life. And so I tailor that person's needs to what I can offer. And if I'm not able to offer them what I think they need, I try and recommend um, further support. But support comes in many facets. Um, and having a healthcare background um, gives you insight that you might take for granted because it took me a while to realize that I had something to share, helping people navigate through the healthcare system. Um, Something as simple as being on the phone with a client whose husband was in hospice. But when she asked me to come in and evaluate what I saw versus what they were receiving, um, I'm going to say it was inept. And I intervened just with a phone call, sitting there, speaking on the family's behalf, and made things happen within that 2 hour window of first initially meeting with the client. And this story really touches me because the client's husband was actively dying. And all I did was walk in and see and assess and get on the phone with the services that she already had, um, and expedited their attention to the imminent. And that client passed away the same day.
Wow.
Uh, I was familiar with the client. It was parents of one of my old grade school friends. And what she shared with me, not only was she happy that I was there for her, but that it just took a weight off of her shoulder and that she had all these people helping her, but what I was able to provide um, spoke volumes or outweighed all the services and things that she had already existing. And so to me, that's just another form of support. Um, but again, I acknowledge that people, businesses, structures are so busy being busy that we forget to connect to look at the personal aspects and cover those small, minute details that are not minute at all. That's the core and crust of that person's needs.
Yes, yes, yes. So, I'm thinking about this person that you helped. They they were there. Their loved one, was leaving them at that moment. um, I can only imagine the relief that they felt as you were able to step in and help them navigate. And it wasn't days, it was just for a few hours, right?
Yes.
But because you were there to support them, to keep them company, to lead them, to speak on their behalf, they felt that relief, they felt that rest, they felt comfort because they were not dealing with that alone. So tell us how important it is for caregivers to understand that they don't have to do all of it by themselves.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. We can't do it by ourselves. Um, Without the source, the strength, the direction, the coverage, the comfort, and the love of our Heavenly Father, you can't. You can't you we think that we're intervening and doing on our own. We're not. It's all from the source. Um, and when you are cognizant and aware and accepting,
Mhm.
there are no words as to who you are as a person, how you move as a person, because you're not moving on your own accord. You're moving through the Spirit, through our Father's direction. And words don't even have to exchange.
Mhm.
People can see that in you and feel it, and they receive it and they benefit and they acknowledge it. They might not even have the right words, but they're able to see.
Mhm. And yet we know that, right? We have that intellectual knowledge that as humans, we cannot do this or any other thing by ourselves, right? That we have to go to the source for that strength to help us daily move forward and do the things that we have to do. In this case, caring for a sick family member or loved one. But yet, so many people are doing this, and I see them struggling. I see them struggling. I see them feel like they have to be there. They can't take time to sleep. They can't take time to eat. They cannot take a break because if they do, something may happen. So, how do you talk to someone that is going through this? How do you explain to them it is okay to take time for yourself? It is okay to take a break. It is okay to allow someone else to be there on your behalf while you go run some errands or take a bath or whatever you need at the time. It is okay. How do you explain that to that individual?
So definitely based on where that individual is how I explain. Some I have to tread more lightly and gentle than others. Um, but I share my work experience, and one of the things I share is that that loved one that you're taking care of would feel absolutely horrible if they knew that you weren't taking care of yourself on their behalf. Um, and so that helps to remove some of the guilt that they feel. And
Yes.
I tell them the obvious: if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't be present to help take care of this loved one that you care so much for.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think we just need to hear that it's okay to
Mm.
take care of yourself, that it's actually necessary to take care of yourself, that you can't pour from an empty cup,
Yes.
um, and that it's okay to lean on your resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to call on resources if you don't see them. Um, and resources may come in all shape or sizes. And I say, I'm one of your resources. Consider me family. How can we make this better? So I
Mm-hmm.
have to meet them where they are. But a lot of it is showing them grace and understanding because you have to acknowledge their feelings, their family dynamics, all the other things that are pressuring and causing the stress that they're under, in addition to caring for their loved one, um, and letting them know that they're not alone,
Yeah.
um, that there's a higher power,
Mm-hmm.
that God's got them. And I know sometimes um, I can speak clearly and directly without having to soften my knowledge of God being wonderful. And then there are times when I can scream it from the rooftops and it's received. But I always move in a spirit of understanding where they're coming from and meeting them where they are.
That's good. That's good. What is also coming to my mind in thinking about these individuals that, are in this situation is that in certain cultures, it's not taken very positively when, if you have a loved one that is suffering from, certain illness. In certain cultures, it feels or they feel like they have to have their loved one at home and they have to take care of that loved one at home. If they make the decision of taking that loved one to a facility, um, it's looked down upon. Um, I know here in the US it's different, but if you encounter someone from one of those cultures that is struggling with making that decision, how would you guide them through that process?
I'd start off really simple. What is their main goal? And they say to care for their loved one. And then
Mhm.
I ask, and I know you want to provide the best care.
Mhm.
And then, based on the disposition of their loved one, I will give them the nursing background or look at the medical picture and say, they need this level of care and they need it 24/7, around the clock, no interruptions. That's how you can provide the best of care. And so that conversation in itself um, helps to shed some realistic light on
Yes.
the needs of that loved one. And then I ask them, or sometimes I'll ask before, well, what do you do? Are you responsible for just yourself? Are you paying bills? Do you have children? What's your support system like? I ask them just to tell me what they do so that I can show them how busy they are, how they're stretched, and they're maintaining, but just barely. And then I go back to what's needed to provide the ultimate care for this loved one. Um, and oftentimes that helps shift. And then there's that emotional piece of feeling defeated because they're supposed to take care of their loved ones at home. And I said, well, are you defeated because you want to provide just care? Or are you defeated because it's hard to accept that the best thing in this situation or the best choice would be to put your loved one where they can get all that care? And then I show them how it's possible that they can still provide the same amount of love and care and be there while their loved one is in an outside facility.
Yes,
Um,
so good. Yeah. I'm thinking about a lady that I met many years ago. I want to say maybe like 15 years ago,
mhm.
at a women's ministries event. This lady, she got married very young, and during the honeymoon, her husband had an accident, and he was left in a um, vegetable state. You know, they had to do everything for him, and he was in that state for 20 years. And he was at home. She was taking care of him, but every single year she took 2 weeks of the year to go away to take care of herself.
Amen.
Yes, she would, hire someone to come and stay with him and, take care of him. And she would just go away for 2 weeks to take care of herself.
Yeah.
And that helped her. When I met her, if she had not mentioned that, I would have never known
Mhm.
that this lady had gone through such an experience.
Yeah.
But because she took the time to care for herself, she was able to preserve herself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
While taking care of her husband. And some may say, well, 2 weeks in a year, that's not too much, but it counts. It counts.
Absolutely.
Yes, it counts.
Absolutely.
And I always think about that experience um, of that lady when I see individuals caring for their loved ones, and I see them how they are getting wasted. You know, you see their face and their body, they're exhausted.
Mhm.
Um, and it hurts to see that, right? Because they feel they experience that guilt that if
Guilty.
they take a little bit of time, something's gonna happen, or you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Um, we I try to address those fears or those concerns head on. And I make sure that people are aware that taking care of self comes in many shapes and sizes. There's
Yes,
no cookie cutter. To take care of yourself, you must go away for 2 weeks. Taking care of yourself might be that you sit in the bathroom by yourself with the door shut and you take some deep breaths.
yes,
Taking care of yourself could be that you go outside and go for a walk or walk in the grass with no shoes on. Taking care of yourself, even in the smallest acts, has such big results. And so, for that person that is very rigid and can't see it, I offer little suggestions, small tidbits of things that will make a difference. Um, but there's something to be said about explaining to the person who's providing care that, in my experience of providing care for many and seeing many people pass, I kid you not, many persons wait for their loved ones to be away to actually transition. And so folks are worried that they need to be there when that person
mhm,
takes the last breath. And I try to um, impart wisdom as gently as possible that that may or may not happen.
mhm,
But the fact that you're here and present and giving your all, your loved one feels your love. They know that you care. They're receiving care now, but this isn't when this care started. Your relationship from day one. That's when your caring and your relationship formed. So this is that bow on the package, so to speak. because people feel if I don't do this, they won't know that I cared. No, they know that that's for you. This person knows that you care. Um, and to show how much you care, you have to still keep living, keep taking care of self, um, not not carrying guilt or feeling burdened because that individual can sense all of that. And
Yes.
if you want to provide the best for them, you got to give the best of yourself into yourself for that to happen.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow. This is this is so important to understand, right? Not only for those who are going through that experience right now, but for us who are around those who are experiencing that, so that we can provide that support and that knowledge, and help them in that way, right? Um, this has been wonderful, Michelle. So what would you like to leave with the audience um, before we end? What are some tips that you want to leave with them?
Self-care is not um, a bonus, it's a requirement. Knowing um, that you're doing the best of yourself for yourself helps to ensure that you can share some of you with someone else,
Mm.
be it your loved one who's ill, be it someone else who just needs a moment of support. But if you don't start at home, it's even more challenging when you need to pour from your cup that's not full.
Yeah.
Um, I try to encourage people just in everyday conversation how important it is to have conversations with your loved ones
Yes.
before life happens. Um, Talk about what their wants and desires are.
Mhm.
Express how you want to be cared for.
Mhm.
Uh, Our generation, our culture typically doesn't have that conversation until it's in your face and you have to deal with it. But if
Yes.
we could start talking now about what life looks like, what living looks like, what expectations you have, what goals you want to achieve, what does it look like to say, I lived my life and I'm okay? And then what does it look like for your loved one who shares that life with you to be able to support you in that time when you're in need? It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean that they're terminally ill, but people have life events that shift and create a need that wasn't there before. So having a conversation early on makes all the difference in the world.
Yes, yes. So Michelle, if people want to get in touch with you, how can get they get a hold of you?
Oh, they can reach me by email, which is nurse.anderson@gmail.com. That's NURSE.ANDERSON @gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle, for being with us and sharing your knowledge with us today. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you.